Peace, love, and blessings, fam. Johnny Sally here with day 16 of Wisdom of the Ages. We will be reading for 60 days consecutively. If you've missed any of the previous 14 episodes, you can check them out on YouTube at Loyalty Life, spelled Lyfe Legacy LLC. Again, Loyalty Life Legacy LLC on YouTube. Let's get into it. Mercy. From the Merchant of Venice. The quality of mercy is not strained. It droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven. Upon the place beneath it is twice blessed. It blesseth him that gives and him that takes. 'Tis mightiest in the mightiest it becomes. The throned monarch better than his crown. His scepter shows the force of temporal power, the attribute to awe and majesty. Wherein doth sit the dread and fear of kings, but mercy is above this sceptred sway. It is enthralled in the hearts of kings. It is an attribute to God himself. An earthly power doth then show like its gods when mercy seasons justice. By William Shakespeare. English poet and dramatist of the Elizabethan and early Jacobean period, William Shakespeare is the most widely known author in all English literature. How do I choose one contribution from the man many consider the greatest dramatist and sonneteer of all time? To read William Shakespeare is to become lost in his unprecedentedly rich and inventive use of the English language. My first selection was the masterful soliloquy from Hamlet, in which he asked the question that haunts all seekers of truth and higher awareness. To be or not to be is certainly the question. Yet, I felt that I had covered the subject of dealing with the conflict of suffering, the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune versus taking arms against the sea of troubles, and thus, by opposing, ending them, in several places in this book. I finally decided to present this selection of the quality of mercy from the Merchant of Venice, because I feel these are the most profound and practical 14 lines ever written on this human attribute. Living with a spirit of mercy and putting it to use each day is the way to tame our more base and primitive instincts while nurturing love and compassion. When we are hurt by others, our first impulse is usually to get even. Revenge rather than mercy is what our more savage side urges. Yet, Shakespeare says about this quality of mercy, which he calls an attribute of God, that it droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven. Upon the place beneath it is twice blessed. The first blessing of mercy or compassion is on you, the giver. This message summarizes much of the wisdom that the psychological literature has to offer. That is, be compassionate with yourself. Do not judge yourself harshly when you make a mistake or fail to live up to some standard. I will say that again. Be compassionate to yourself. Do not judge yourself harshly when you make a mistake or fail to live up to some standard. Be of such a mind that you can detach from the misconduct or failure and be gentle and loving with yourself. Forgive yourself for being so human as to have wandered around in your darker corners and emerged embarrassed or disappointed with your behavior. Give yourself mercy, a quality that Shakespeare says becomes the throned monarch better than the crown. And so, it becomes you as well. When you take the first blessings of mercy and apply it to yourself, you open to the potential of offering this quality to him that takes. If you are unable to give yourself authentic compassion, you will never be able to give it to another, any more than you can give love to another if you don't love yourself, or give money to the poor if you have none. Developing compassion for yourself can be achieved by following the shrewd and wise advice of my teacher, Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. He tells me the sinner and the saint are merely exchanging notes. The saint had sinned, the sinner will be sanctified. All of us have sinned, even those we call saints. When you consider these words, compassion for yourself is easy to acquire. Now, you can give it away, and this is what Shakespeare means by the double blessing of mercy. While we all fear those who have the force of temporal power, symbolized poetically by the king's scepter, mercy, as the bard reminds us, is above the sceptered sway. It takes a godly quality to look into the eyes of those who have behaved badly or harmed us in some way, to remove our inclination to brandish our wands of imperial power. When we instead show compassion toward those offenders, we arrive at the point where earthly power doth then show like its gods. As parents, or even adults in positions of authority by virtue of our age and size advantage, we often have the option of displaying our symbol of regal power. It is quite tempting to dole out punishments and to exact revenge when we are disobeyed. Compassion is generally the last thing on our minds. In such moments, I have learned to remind myself how patient and merciful God has always been with me in my darkest and most frightening times. I've never ever felt abandoned by the divine creator of all, even when many seem to be anything but compassionate for the errors of my ways. This godlike quality is most helpful when mercy seasons justice rather than replaces it. When I am being parental with my children who have broken a rule or failed to live up to an agreement or just generally screwed up in some way, I remember Shakespeare's advice to season justice with mercy. I tell them I have great love for them and I know what it is like to have screwed up. And I season the consequences with mercy and compassion, so they always feel loved when the issue is behind us. This notion of giving mercy away applies to all your relationships in all areas of your life. Offering compassion to those who have harmed or disappointed you does not mean being a victim. Say that again. Offering compassion to those who have harmed or disappointed you does not mean being a victim. It is instead a way of saying, I understand, I care, I forgive, but I still do not like it, and I will not tolerate being treated this way or having you think it is acceptable. The difference is not needing to exact revenge or to prove one's superiority. With mercy in your heart, you will find yourself much less distracted and disheartened by the evil behaviors that you see and read about almost every day. You will be able to send the offender's love and not become obsessed with anger, hatred, and eventually the desire for revenge. The quality of having mercy in your heart to give away keeps you focused on what you are for rather than what you are against. For example, rather than becoming immobilized by your anger and what you are against, such as starvation, you put your attention on what you are for, which is to educate and feed people. Thus, your compassion leads you to a loving solution rather than an angry reaction. The mercy you feel in your heart toward those you love in your own circle or family will similarly keep you focused on compassion rather than reprisal, on rectifying the affront rather than exacting a retribution. As Shakespeare says in this inspiring piece, mercy is mightiest in the mightiest. That is, the more powerful you are as a person, the more power you will display through your mercy, and the less need you will have to display your symbols of authority. Put the ideas of this passage by one of the world's greatest wordsmiths into your life by practicing the following. When you find yourself facing a situation in which you are going to apportion justice, see the two sides of your own personality very clearly. The one side is the king, who has the power of retribution. The other side is the mercy merchant, who sends love and compassion first and foremost. By all means, seek justice, but season it well with mercy. Give yourself the compassion you deserve for any and all past actions. Stop judging yourself harshly. All those errors and wrong actions were necessary for you to get beyond that place in your life. Be kind to yourself and eliminate any ill feelings you harbor towards yourself. Once you have stated how you feel and justice has been done, let it go. Let it go. And I mean let go now. Don't hold on to grudges and use constant reminders to keep others in a state of guilt while maintaining your own dissonance as well. Let it go. Turn your most troublesome disturbances over to the divine creator of all, the gods, your ancestors, or whatever your spiritual agency is. Simply say, spiritual agency, I find it so extremely difficult to give mercy in this situation, and I am turning it over to you completely. I know you will guide me in acting in the most merciful and humane way. This action will free you from your own immobilization and anger and help you to see the saint in the center who has just been exchanging notes with each other. Now, if you didn't know, when I read these, I don't go through and look at them before. Yes, I've read the book before, but I just go with the flow. So I've been working with Lady Kuan Yin, the goddess of mercy, and she has been definitely teaching me this. So even when put into situations where you may be completely frustrated and angered by somebody, you can be the hand of karma and deliver the necessary justice by stating how you feel. And sometimes to others it may seem as if you got out of character, but karma knows best. Your spiritual agency knows best. And if you are in the right, once that is stated, be sure to not only let it go, but appreciate the moment of you speaking your truth. I would also suggest that if the situation presents itself, let the individual know that you didn't have anything against them, but their actions are what caused the receipt of a side of you that they may not have wanted to see, a side of the king swinging the scepter. And I'd refer to the side just based off of balance of the king and queen within each of us as the divine masculine and the divine feminine energies. You have the aspect of logic that wants to get revenge and say, hey, this is how you rocking, so I can give you the same energy. But a lot of the times, again, when you show that mirror, it's not received. And in truth, a lot of the times, if you show mercy to somebody that's not prepared to receive it, they won't even notice it. But it's not about them. It's about you. Not showing mercy and continuing to hold a grudge is exactly like the old adage of swallowing poison and expecting the other individual to be harmed. So, swallow the cure of mercy and allow yourself to be healed and allow them to deal with it however they choose. The only thing you can do first, as he just spoke about, is be the giver of mercy. If the person doesn't receive it, that's on them, and you've done your part. I appreciate you for being here. I ask that you continue to do your part to show mercy for yourself, continue to grow, continue to love yourself, and even those people that make your butt itch, as one of my best friends says, it may be hard, but show them compassion and mercy. Walk in love, walk in light, walk in peace, and know that you are loved.